What if the reason you're not where you want to be isn't because you're lazy or unlucky or unworthy, but because no one ever taught you how to think? Think about that. How many times have you worked hard, pushed through, given everything you had, and still ended up with nothing to show for it? You tell yourself you'll try harder next time, that maybe effort alone will save you. But deep down, you already know it won't, because the world doesn't reward effort. It rewards clarity. It rewards discipline of thought. Most people spend their lives reacting to problems, to emotions, to fear. Their minds are noisy, chaotic, spinning in circles, chasing every distraction that promises relief but delivers regret. They confuse movement with progress, busyness with purpose. They think they're building something, but all they're really doing is surviving, barely. And survival isn't wealth. Survival is the enemy of creation. The ones who rise above that noise don't do it because they're gifted. They do it because they've learned the secret that almost no one talks about. Wealth isn't built by hands. It's built by thoughts. Every fortune, every empire, every breakthrough began in someone's mind before it existed in the world. The difference between success and struggle isn't luck or timing. It's mental discipline. The ability to hold a vision steady while everything else tries to shake it apart. If your thoughts were a room, how clean would it be? Would it be organized, focused, or cluttered with fear, doubt, and opinions that aren't even yours? Most people live inside a mind they've never taken time to master. They let every fear rent space for free. They let every setback become a story of failure. And then they wonder why wealth never stays with them. It can't. Wealth doesn't belong where chaos lives. Disciplining your thinking isn't about suppressing emotion. It's about directing it. It's about asking yourself, in every moment, does this thought move me closer to freedom or further from it? Because every thought has a cost. Every time you choose fear over focus, distraction over purpose, comfort over growth, you're paying for it, not in money, but in potential, in years, in the quiet ache of knowing you could have been more. Successful people don't think less, they think differently. They filter every idea through intention. When they wake up, their first thought isn't, what do I have to do today? It's what will move me closer to where I want to be. That one question separates the drifting from the driven. The poor chase opportunities. The wealthy create them because they've disciplined their thinking to see what others miss. This isn't about being positive all the time. That's not discipline, that's denial. Real discipline means facing your fears and choosing focus anyway. It's sitting in discomfort and still thinking clearly. It's saying no when your emotions scream yes. It's realizing that instant gratification is a thief wearing a friendly face, and every time you let it in, it steals a piece of your future. The truth is, most people are slaves to their own thoughts. They let impulses drive them. They chase validation. They seek distraction. They feed the very chaos that keeps them small. But the few who rise, the ones who build, create, and lead, they've broken that pattern. They've learned to pause, to think before they act, to choose purpose over panic. That pause is where wealth begins. Because in that moment of stillness, they control the one thing most people never master, their mind. You've been taught how to earn money, how to save it, how to spend it, but not how to think in a way that attracts it, not how to develop the kind of inner discipline that makes wealth inevitable. This is the missing piece, the one that separates dreamers from doers, the hopeful from the powerful. Wealth isn't something you chase. It's something you train your thoughts to attract. So if you're tired of running in circles, of watching others move forward while you stay stuck, it's time to do what most never will. Step back, look inward, clean the room of your mind, strip away the noise, the lies, the distractions. Then rebuild it, thought by thought, with purpose, clarity, and discipline. Because the moment you learn to control your thinking, everything else starts to align. The truth is simple. You don't need to work harder. You need to think sharper, discipline your mind, and the world begins to bend in your favor. Wealth isn't waiting for you. It's waiting on you to think like it does. Most people don't realize their thoughts are being trained every day, just not by them. They're being shaped by noise, by opinions, by everything around them that tells them who they should be, what they should want, and how far they're allowed to go. That's the trap. You think you're choosing your thoughts, but really, your thoughts are choosing you. Every advertisement, every scroll, every piece of negativity that slips past your guard, it's programming you. And the longer you let that happen, the further you drift from the life you were meant to live. But the moment you decide to take your mind back, everything changes. You stop being a follower of chaos and become a creator of order. You stop reacting and start designing. That's what successful people do. They don't let the world think for them. They protect their mental space like it's sacred, because it is. Your mind is the soil, and every thought is a seed. Most people plant weeds and wonder why their lives feel overgrown with problems. The few who rise, they plant vision, they plant focus, they plant patience, and those seeds grow into everything they ever dreamed of. You have to understand, discipline isn't punishment. It's liberation. The mind that's disciplined is free. Free from overthinking, free from fear, free from the constant pull of distraction. The average person lives in mental slavery, chained to impulses that give pleasure for a moment but regret for a lifetime. You can feel that truth in your bones. You know how it feels to waste time, to lose focus, to watch the hours vanish while your dreams fade a little more each day. You tell yourself you'll do better tomorrow. But the truth is, there's no tomorrow for the undisciplined mind. There's only repeat. Every great life starts with one decision: to stop living in reaction and start living with intention, to stop waiting for the perfect moment and create one. That's what separates those who build wealth from those who just talk about it. They've mastered the inner game. They understand that the war for success isn't fought in the world, it's fought in the mind. The real battlefield is your focus. Every distraction that steals your attention is stealing your future. Every excuse that sounds reasonable is robbing you of power. The people who win are the ones who refuse to negotiate with weakness. There's a quiet kind of strength that comes from mastering your thoughts. It's not loud, it doesn't seek attention. It moves with purpose. It walks into a room and commands it, not through arrogance, but through clarity. That's the energy of someone who's disciplined their thinking. You feel it when they speak. You see it in their choices. It's not luck, it's control. Control over what they think, what they focus on, what they give energy to. They don't waste their mind on noise because they know every thought counts. Every moment of focus compounds. And that's how wealth is built. Not in sudden wins, but in disciplined decisions repeated daily. The truth is, you already have what you need to become that person. You have the same hours, the same mind, the same potential as anyone who's ever built something extraordinary. The only difference is what you do with it. Most people let their thoughts wander until they forget who's in charge, but not you, not anymore. The fact that you're still here, still listening, still hungry to change, means something inside you refuses to settle. That's your power calling out. That's your reminder that you're meant for more than survival. But wanting more isn't enough. You have to discipline your desires. You have to train your mind to focus not on what feels good now, but on what will make you unshakable later. You have to replace distraction with direction, comfort with consistency. Every time you choose focus over noise, you take one step closer to freedom. Every time you silence doubt and keep going, you build strength that can't be taken from you. Wealth isn't about money. It's about mastery. It's about mastering yourself so completely that nothing outside of you has the power to control what happens inside of you. When you reach that level of discipline, you stop chasing and start attracting. You stop doubting and start deciding. You stop surviving and start leading. So ask yourself right now, are you still letting your thoughts control you? Or are you ready to take control of them? Because once you do, once you truly discipline your thinking, you'll never see the world the same way again. You'll see opportunities where others see obstacles. You'll see abundance where others see lack. You'll stop waiting for wealth and start thinking like it. And when you think like wealth, it has no choice but to find you. The moment you start thinking differently, the world doesn't immediately change, but you do. And that's where everything begins. You start seeing what others overlook. You start noticing how most people sabotage themselves without even realizing it. They talk about wanting freedom, but they feed habits that keep them trapped. They crave success, but they refuse to discipline the thoughts that could build it. Every decision they make comes from impulse, not intention. And that's why they stay stuck. because they never learned how to control the one thing that determines everything else, their mind. If you can master your mind, you can master your world. Every emotion, every action, every result. It all starts with a single thought. One disciplined thought can save you years of wasted effort. One focused decision can shift the entire direction of your life. But most people never get that far because they quit before they begin. They underestimate how powerful they are. They let doubt whisper louder than their dreams. And the longer they listen, the smaller their vision becomes. That's how ordinary lives are built. One compromised thought at a time. But you're not ordinary. You wouldn't still be here if you were. There's a part of you that refuses to settle, that knows deep down you're capable of more. You felt it, that quiet frustration that comes when you know you're meant for something greater, but you're not there yet. That's not weakness. That's your potential begging you to wake up. It's your higher self trying to break through the noise. And if you ignore it long enough, it doesn't disappear. It turns into regret. That's the cost of an undisciplined mind, regret. The pain of wondering what could have been if you had just taken control sooner. So take control now. Train your thoughts like a warrior trains for battle, ruthlessly, relentlessly. Don't let them wander into fear or comparison. Don't let them drift toward negativity or doubt. Every time you catch yourself thinking small, stop and redirect. Replace the weakness with purpose. Replace the noise with clarity. Discipline isn't built in a day. It's built in every moment you choose to think differently when it would be easier to fall back into the old pattern. Every time you do that, you strengthen the muscle of mastery. And one day, that discipline becomes your identity. The people who win at life aren't the ones who never feel fear. They're the ones who don't surrender to it. They've built the habit of thinking beyond emotion. They act from vision, not reaction. They've learned to make decisions not from how they feel in the moment, but from who they're becoming in the long run. That's the difference between temporary success and lasting transformation. Temporary success comes from action. True transformation comes from thought. You can feel when your mind starts to shift. The things that once distracted you lose their power. The opinions that used to control you start to fade. You begin to move with a quiet certainty, a calm strength that doesn't need validation. That's the energy of wealth. Not money itself, but mastery. The wealthiest people in the world aren't just rich in money. They're rich in clarity, in purpose, in peace, because they've trained their minds to focus only on what matters. That's what you're building now. Not just income, but inner power. And you have to understand, disciplining your thoughts isn't just about success, it's about survival in a world that profits off your distraction. Every second you lose to fear, comparison, or comfort is a second stolen from your purpose. The clock is ticking, and the world isn't waiting. Every thought you entertain either builds your freedom or feeds your limitation. Every moment you choose focus over noise, you're taking back control of your future. This is your turning point, the line between who you were and who you're becoming. You've been given everything you need, your mind, your will, your ability to choose. Now you have to use them. Don't wait for motivation. Don't wait for the perfect plan. The act of disciplining your thoughts is the plan. Every focused moment is a brick. Every disciplined decision is another step toward mastery. The life you want doesn't belong to someone more talented. It belongs to someone more disciplined, someone who decided that average wasn't enough. That person can be you. If you take control of your mind and refuse to give it back, because once your thoughts are yours, nothing and no one can stop what you're building. You'll see the world as it truly is, not as a series of limits, but as a field of possibilities waiting for the one who's brave enough to think differently. The greatest battle you'll ever fight won't be against the world. It'll be against your own mind. That quiet voice that tells you to wait, to play safe, to stay comfortable. It sounds harmless, but it's the reason most people never live the life they dream of. That voice is fear disguised as logic. It whispers, not yet, maybe later. But later never comes. Later is how potential dies. Every time you hesitate, every time you second-guess yourself, you give that voice power. And every time you silence it with action, you take it back. You have to understand something vital. Your thoughts are not facts, they're patterns. And those patterns are either building you or breaking you. Most people spend their lives defending their limitations, proving to themselves why they can't have more, why it's too late, why it's too hard. But the truth is, nothing changes until you start challenging your thoughts instead of obeying them. The most successful people don't have perfect minds. They just refuse to let negative thinking win. They catch their doubts, question them, and replace them with direction. That's the discipline that turns ordinary people into unstoppable ones. Every dream you have depends on how disciplined your mind is. You can't think like the majority and expect to live like the minority. You can't keep feeding yourself excuses and expect to harvest results. If your thoughts are scattered, your life will be too. But if your thinking is sharp, focused, and intentional, the world bends in your favor. That's not fantasy, that's physics. Energy flows where attention goes. And most people waste theirs on fear, comparison, and regret. Imagine what would happen if you aimed that same energy toward growth, toward building something that lasts. There's a cost to staying the same, a price for every moment you delay. The mind that isn't disciplined will always choose what feels good now over what creates freedom later. It will trade long-term peace for temporary comfort. But comfort is the silent killer of greatness. It dulls your ambition, numbs your hunger, and convinces you that average is acceptable. The truth is, average is poison for someone who knows they're meant for more. You weren't born to settle. You were born to lead, to create, to break limits that scared the generation before you. The moment you decide to master your thinking, you separate yourself from the crowd. You stop reacting to the world and start shaping it. You stop being a passenger in your own life and take the wheel. That's what mental discipline gives you: control. Control over what you focus on, what you believe, what you allow into your head. When your thoughts are disciplined, your emotions follow, your actions follow, and eventually your results follow. Everything begins in the mind, and everything you desire is waiting for you to think at its level. The question is, how much longer will you keep thinking small? How many dreams will you keep sacrificing to distraction? Every time you scroll instead of build, you choose weakness. Every time you say, "I'll do it later," you push your life further away. That's the truth no one wants to face. You're not running out of time. You're running out of focus. And every moment you spend undisciplined is a moment you'll never get back. But the beauty is, it only takes one decision to change everything. One moment of absolute clarity where you decide you're done living beneath your potential. That's the power of awareness. Once you see how undisciplined thinking has controlled your life, you can't unsee it. You can only rise above it. From that moment forward, every thought becomes a choice, every action a declaration. You stop being a victim of your mind and become its master. That's when life begins to shift. That's when wealth, purpose, and peace start finding you instead of you chasing them. The world doesn't need another person who drifts through life waiting for change. It needs someone who commands their mind, who leads with clarity, who turns thought into creation. That someone can be you, but you have to want it more than comfort. You have to crave discipline like air, because the moment you do, your life will never look the same again. Your thoughts will sharpen, your focus will strengthen, and everything you once thought was impossible will start to feel inevitable. The mind you master becomes the life you create. Train it, guard it, discipline it. Because once your thinking is aligned with your purpose, nothing can stand in your way. Not fear, not doubt, not time. Wealth doesn't begin with money. It begins with a mind that refuses to surrender. And once you've built that mind, the rest of the world has no choice but to follow. The reason most people never reach the life they dream of isn't because they lack opportunity. It's because they've never learned to control what happens between their ears. They wake up every day and hand over their power to fear, to excuses, to the same tired patterns that have ruled them for years. They don't even notice it happening. It feels normal. But normal is the enemy. Normal keeps you broke, distracted, and average. Normal whispers that you'll start tomorrow, that you'll try again next week, that maybe this just isn't for you. But you know that voice is lying. You've heard it for too long, and you can feel it stealing your future one quiet decision at a time. Every great transformation begins with awareness. The moment you realize that your thoughts are not who you are, they're just habits. And habits can be rewritten. That's the key. You don't need to destroy who you are. You need to retrain how you think. Because wealth isn't a number, it's a mindset. It's the byproduct of clarity, consistency, and conviction. When your thoughts are disciplined, your world bends towards success. When they're scattered, your life follows the same chaos. You can't build freedom on a foundation of noise. You have to become ruthless about what you allow to live in your mind. Every fear, every doubt, every negative voice that says you're not ready, none of it belongs there. You are not your past. You are not your mistakes. You are the result of what you choose to believe today. And belief is a choice. The most powerful people in the world didn't start with confidence. They started with commitment. They committed to mastering their thoughts, even when everything around them told them to quit. That's what separates the unstoppable from the ordinary. The truth is, most people are too busy reacting to life to ever create one. They drift from moment to moment, chasing distractions, avoiding silence because silence forces them to face themselves. But silence is where discipline is born, when the noise fades and it's just you and your thoughts. That's where transformation begins. That's where you confront the truth about what's holding you back. And the truth always sets you free, if you're brave enough to face it. If you can control what you think, you can control how you feel. And when you control how you feel, you control how you act. Every successful person lives by this rule. They don't wait to feel ready. They create readiness through disciplined thinking. When their mind says stop, they move. When fear shows up, they lean in. They've trained themselves to turn resistance into fuel. And that's what you must do, because fear isn't your enemy, it's your invitation. It shows you exactly where your power is hiding. The gap between where you are and where you want to be isn't time. It's focus. You're not missing opportunities. You're missing clarity. You've been pouring energy into worry, into judgment, into stories that no longer serve you. Imagine what would happen if you redirected that energy into belief, into action, into mastering your mind instead of escaping it. Every thought is a vote for the life you want or the one you're trying to leave behind. Choose wisely. You don't have to have it all figured out. You just have to stop thinking like the version of yourself that's still waiting for permission. No one's coming to save you. No one's going to hand you the life you deserve. You have to claim it, one disciplined thought at a time. The mind that resists comfort becomes unstoppable. The mind that craves growth becomes wealthy. The mind that refuses to quit becomes free. This is the truth that most people never face. Your external world is a mirror of your internal discipline. You can't fake focus. You can't cheat clarity. You either train your mind or it trains you. There's no in between. And once you decide to take full control, the shift is immediate. The same problems that once overwhelmed you start losing their power. The same fears that used to paralyze you become irrelevant. Because once your thoughts align with your purpose, everything else begins to fall into place. So stop waiting. Stop negotiating with doubt. Stop giving your future away one distracted thought at a time. You have everything you need right now. The potential, the fire, the vision. All that's left is the discipline to bring it to life. Train your thoughts like your success depends on it, because it does. Wealth doesn't begin when you make money. It begins when you master your mind. And once you've done that, there's nothing left to chase. There's only growth, only freedom, only purpose. And it all starts with how you think today. The moment you realize your thoughts shape your reality, everything changes. Suddenly, you see how every belief, every story you tell yourself has been building the life you're living now. And that realization hits hard, because it means you've been creating without even knowing it. The mind doesn't care what you think, it simply obeys. Feed it fear, and it builds barriers. Feed it doubt, and it creates hesitation. But feed it vision, and it opens doors that never existed before. That's the power you've always had. You just haven't been using it with discipline. Your mind is the engine, not the enemy. But only if you learn how to drive it. Most people crash not because they lack skill, but because they never learned control. They accelerate toward their dreams with no steering, no focus, no awareness of what's fueling them. And when life throws resistance their way, they swerve off course. But the ones who rise, the ones who build lasting wealth, purpose, and peace, they've mastered control. Their thoughts are intentional. Their focus is a weapon. Their vision is unshakable. They don't think to survive. They think to create. And creation demands clarity. You can't build a life that feels free while your mind is chained to fear. Fear is the thief of potential. It disguises itself as caution, but it's really control. Every time you let it speak louder than your faith, you shrink. You settle for safety. You trade your dreams for comfort and call it being realistic. But realism is often just fear in a smarter outfit. The truth is, every great thing you've ever wanted lives on the other side of discomfort. And the only way through that discomfort is mental discipline. The decision to keep thinking forward when everything around you screams to stop. You've been told to believe in yourself, but belief alone isn't enough. You can believe you deserve more and still stay trapped in the same cycle if your thoughts remain undisciplined. Belief gives birth to desire, but discipline builds destiny. It's not about motivation. Motivation fades, discipline remains. It's what keeps you moving. When your emotions betray you, when the results aren't showing yet, when the noise of doubt gets loud, that's when your thoughts either define you or destroy you. Every thought you entertain either pulls you closer to your purpose or pushes you further from it. That's why successful people protect their minds like treasure. They know one undisciplined thought can cost them days, weeks, even years of progress. They know that clarity isn't found, it's created. Every morning they choose what to think about, what to focus on, what to believe in, and that's why they win. Not because they're luckier, but because they're mentally stronger. Because they've learned that wealth is never built in chaos, it's built in clarity. You can feel it, can't you? That tension between the life you're living and the one you know you could have, that's not frustration, it's potential trying to break free. It's your mind telling you it's time to evolve, and evolution doesn't happen in comfort. It happens in challenge. Every moment you resist old habits, every time you reject negative thoughts, every time you replace doubt with direction, you're rewiring your mind. You're teaching yourself how to think like wealth, how to move with purpose, how to command your focus like a leader. The longer you delay that transformation, the heavier the cost becomes. Every undisciplined thought compounds into wasted time, wasted energy, wasted potential. And time doesn't give refunds. That's why discipline is urgent. Not tomorrow, not someday, now. Because every day you live without control over your mind, you live beneath your potential. You're capable of more, but capability means nothing without control. This is your turning point, the moment where you decide that your thoughts no longer run the show, that fear no longer decides your future, that distractions no longer steal your destiny. You are not your past. You are not your doubts. You are not your mistakes. You are the thinker behind the thought, the creator behind the chaos. And once you master that truth, you become unstoppable. So take ownership. Guard your focus like your life depends on it, because it does. The life you want isn't waiting on luck or talent. It's waiting on your discipline. Train your mind to see abundance where others see lack, to move with conviction where others freeze in fear, to think with precision where others react with panic. Because once your mind is disciplined, the world bends to your vision. The impossible becomes inevitable. The future becomes yours. Most people spend their lives waiting for the right moment, the right opportunity, the right feeling before they move. But here's the truth no one wants to face. The right moment doesn't exist. There is only now. And every time you wait, you're reinforcing the habit of hesitation. You're teaching your mind that comfort is safer than growth. But growth was never meant to be safe. It was meant to break you open, to strip away the layers of who you thought you were, so that you could meet who you're meant to become. That's why so many people never rise. They keep negotiating with their potential instead of surrendering to it. Every second you hesitate, life moves on without you. Opportunities don't vanish. They pass to someone else who is ready, someone who didn't wait for permission, who didn't ask if they were good enough. They moved because they decided they were done playing small. And that's the decision that changes everything. The moment you stop overthinking and start acting, you shift from victim to creator. You stop being a bystander in your own story. Because nothing changes until you move. Nothing transforms until you decide you're done watching others live the life you know you were meant for. Action rewires the brain faster than thought. Every step you take toward your vision, no matter how small, tells your mind that you're serious. It silences fear and builds confidence through momentum. You don't need to have everything figured out. You just need to move forward with conviction. Every motion becomes a message to your subconscious. I am doing this. And your mind responds. It begins to shape new patterns, new beliefs, new strength. But the longer you stay still, the louder doubt becomes. Inaction is the perfect breeding ground for fear. That's why the cure to overthinking will always be action. You have to understand something. The version of you who hesitates is not the real you. That's the voice of your conditioning. It's every failure, every rejection, every fear whispering that it's safer to stay where you are. But comfort zones are silent killers. They don't destroy you overnight. They slowly drain your potential until you no longer recognize yourself. One day you'll wake up and realize that safety cost you your soul. That's why you have to move now, even if it scares you, especially if it scares you. Because fear is the compass that points directly to the place your growth lives. And yes, it will be uncomfortable. It will challenge you in ways you don't expect. You'll question yourself, you'll stumble, you'll want to quit. But that pain, that's the price of freedom. Every moment you push through resistance, you're teaching your mind who's in control. You're proving that fear doesn't decide your limits. You do. Most people let pain define them, but the ones who rise use it as fuel. They look at the struggle and say, this is where I become stronger. Because strength isn't built in comfort. It's forged in the fire of persistence. You are capable of more than you've ever allowed yourself to believe. Deep down, you know it. You can feel that pull, that restlessness that tells you you're meant for more. That's your potential trying to wake you up. And it won't stop until you listen. You were not born to simply exist. You were born to expand, to break barriers, to create impact. But none of that happens if you keep doubting yourself. The world doesn't give power to the hesitant. It rewards those who claim it. You have to decide that your dreams are worth the risk, that your purpose is worth the pain, that your future is worth the fight. There will never be a perfect time, a perfect plan, or a perfect you. There will only be this moment and what you do with it. Every day you delay, you drift further from the life that's waiting for you. But every day you act, you pull it closer. So stop waiting, stop wondering, stop wishing. The only way forward is through. The only way out is action. And the moment you move, the universe moves with you. Momentum favors the bold, the ones who dare, the ones who decide. And when you decide, truly decide, life will bend to meet your will. Everything you've ever wanted begins the moment you stop thinking about it and start becoming it. Most people never realize that wealth doesn't begin in the bank. It begins in the mind. Before you ever touch a dollar, you've already decided how much you're worth. Every belief, every thought, every reaction you have toward money silently builds or destroys your financial destiny. The truth is, money simply amplifies who you already are. If your thinking is scattered, impulsive, fearful, your finances will reflect that chaos. But if your thoughts are focused, disciplined, and strategic, money will flow to you like a mirror of your mind. Because wealth isn't attracted to people who chase it, it's attracted to people who are prepared to handle it. Successful people don't think about money emotionally, they think about it strategically. They understand that emotion clouds judgment, and judgment shapes reality. They don't let fear dictate their actions, and they don't let comfort dictate their goals. They think long-term when others think short-term. They plant seeds when everyone else is searching for shade. They understand that discipline isn't about restriction, it's about direction. It's the ability to say no to what's easy so they can say yes to what's necessary. And that's where real wealth begins, in the decision to think differently when everyone else is reacting emotionally. But discipline doesn't happen by accident. It's built through repetition, through small, consistent choices that align with your higher vision. Every time you resist the impulse to spend mindlessly, every time you choose to invest instead of indulge, you're strengthening a muscle in your mind. That muscle is what separates the rich from the broke, the builders from the dreamers. Wealthy people think in terms of systems, not single moments. They don't ask, what can I get now? They ask, what will this choice mean 5 years from now? Because they understand that every decision compounds, just like money does. Every thought is an investment. Every moment of focus adds interest. And yet, most people waste their mental energy on worry, envy, and comparison. They drain their focus on things that don't produce returns. They think about money as something outside of them, something they need to get, rather than something they need to become. But the mind is the real bank account. Every belief you deposit shapes what you're capable of withdrawing. If you constantly tell yourself money is hard to earn, you'll prove yourself right. If you think wealth is for others, you'll subconsciously reject opportunities that could have changed your life. Your brain listens to every word you say about yourself. Speak poverty and it delivers scarcity. Speak abundance and it begins to create it. That's why successful people guard their thoughts like treasures. They understand that undisciplined thinking is expensive. It costs focus, it costs energy, it costs time. And those are the true currencies of wealth. They train their minds to seek solutions instead of excuses. They don't dwell on problems, they dissect them. They don't ask, why me? They ask, what can I learn from this? Because the mind that searches for growth will always find opportunity. The mind that clings to victimhood will always find limitation. The difference between the two isn't luck, it's mindset discipline. You can't build a wealthy life with a poor mindset. You can't expect abundance when your thoughts are ruled by lack. Every time you let fear drive your financial decisions, you reinforce scarcity. Every time you act from purpose instead of panic, you reinforce abundance. It's a battle fought in silence, every single day. The voice of doubt will whisper that it's too late, that you've made too many mistakes, that others have it easier. But that voice is lying. It's only as strong as your attention. The moment you stop feeding it, it starves. The moment you focus on possibility, the world expands. Wealthy people understand that thinking is their greatest investment. They spend time every day refining their mindset, reading, reflecting, learning from failure. They don't chase trends, they master principles. They know that money is temporary, but mindset is eternal. Lose the money and they'll rebuild it. Lose the mindset and they lose everything. That's the real secret most people overlook. It's not about how much you earn, it's about how much discipline you maintain when no one's watching. Because discipline is wealth in motion. It's the bridge between thought and achievement, between desire and freedom. So look at your thoughts right now. Every one of them is either building your future or breaking it down. You can train your mind to create wealth, but it starts with the courage to think differently, to delay gratification when others demand it now, to stay focused when others get distracted, to choose growth when others settle for comfort. Because in the end, wealth isn't what you own. It's who you've become in the process of earning it. And once your thinking becomes disciplined, your life has no choice but to follow. Most people are slaves to their thoughts without even realizing it. They let their minds run wild with doubt, distraction, and fear, and then wonder why nothing in their lives changes. But successful people, those who rise, those who build, those who create legacies, they don't let their thoughts control them. They control their thoughts. They discipline their inner world long before they dominate the outer one. Because they understand something most people never will. The mind is a battlefield, and the one who masters it wins every war, every dream, every goal, every dollar starts as a thought. That's where it all begins. But here's the catch. Your mind doesn't care whether those thoughts serve you or destroy you. It will build whatever you feed it. Feed it doubt, and it will grow fear. Feed it excuses, and it will grow limitations. Feed it belief, and it will grow power. That's why discipline isn't just about what you do. It's about what you allow yourself to think, because your actions will never rise higher than the thoughts that drive them. Discipline your mind to think in terms of cause and effect. Every result you have today began with a thought you allowed yesterday. You thought small, so you acted small. You doubted, so you hesitated. You feared, so you froze. But when you start thinking differently, when you train your mind to see challenges as teachers instead of threats, everything shifts. Successful people aren't fearless. They've just learned to guide their thoughts toward courage faster than fear can take hold. They've built an inner filter that blocks negativity before it shapes their reality. Most people talk about motivation, but motivation fades. Discipline doesn't. Motivation depends on feelings. Discipline depends on decisions. It's the quiet strength that tells you to keep going when the excitement dies. It's the internal command that says, I don't negotiate with my potential. Discipline is the bridge between who you are and who you're meant to become. It's not glamorous, it's not loud, but it's relentless, and that's why it wins. Because while others wait to feel ready, the disciplined mind moves regardless of how it feels. You can't live an extraordinary life with ordinary thoughts. You can't think like everyone else and expect to end up anywhere different. The average person focuses on problems. The successful person focuses on patterns. The average mind says, why is this happening to me? The disciplined mind asks, what is this teaching me? One mindset sees barriers, the other sees building blocks. And that difference changes everything. The world doesn't reward the smartest or the luckiest. It rewards those who have mastered the discipline of thought. Every time your mind wants to quit, you have a choice. You can surrender to the weakness, or you can train your brain to push 1 inch further. That inch compounds. It builds resilience, clarity, focus, the kind of mental toughness that separates winners from wanderers. You don't train your body in the gym once and call it done. You go back again and again until strength becomes your default. The mind works the same way. You have to train it daily. You have to catch it when it drifts into negativity and pull it back to focus. Over time, that control becomes instinct. You stop chasing discipline, it becomes who you are. And here's the truth most people never face. Undisciplined thinking destroys potential faster than failure ever could. Failure can teach you. Chaos can shape you. But a mind left unchecked will sabotage you quietly, slowly, until you wake up realizing you've built a life beneath your potential. That's why you can't afford to let your thoughts go untrained. Every undisciplined moment steals a piece of your future. Every focused one builds it, so take control. Train your mind to serve you, not scare you. Feed it vision when it craves comfort. Feed it purpose when it drifts into doubt. And remind yourself, discipline isn't punishment, it's power. It's not about restriction, it's about liberation. Because when your thoughts are disciplined, your actions become unstoppable. When your mind is focused, your path becomes clear. And when your thinking aligns with your purpose, wealth, in every form, becomes inevitable. The world bends to those who have mastered themselves. And the moment you master your thoughts, you'll realize you were never waiting for success. Success was waiting for you to think like it. Most people think success is about what they do, but it's really about what they allow themselves to believe. Every limitation you have right now doesn't come from the world. It comes from your mind. The walls around you aren't made of stone. They're built from fear, self-doubt, and the stories you tell yourself about what's possible. The difference between the person who succeeds and the one who stays stuck isn't luck, talent, or background. It's the discipline to challenge their own thoughts every single day. Because if you don't train your mind to question fear, fear will become your default setting. You have to understand, your brain is wired to protect you, not progress you. It will always try to keep you safe, even if that safety costs you your dreams. It whispers, don't risk it, don't try, don't change. But safety is a lie. It's a trap that convinces you that comfort equals peace, when in reality it equals decay. Every great achievement, every breakthrough, every fortune was born in discomfort. The people who rise don't avoid fear. They walk straight through it. They use fear as fuel. They know that every moment of resistance is a signal that they're moving in the right direction, because growth and fear always live in the same place. The moment you start to control your thinking, you stop reacting to life, you start designing it, you stop being a victim of circumstance and start becoming an architect of destiny. You realize wealth isn't just about money. It's about mastery. It's about having control over your mind when everything around you feels uncertain. It's about remaining calm in chaos, focused in noise, and patient when the world rushes. Because the truth is, most people lose wealth not from bad luck, but from bad thinking. They panic when they should stay still. They give up when they should persist. They chase instant gratification instead of long-term power. Discipline means saying no to the impulses that feel good now but cost you later. It's choosing the harder path today for the greater reward tomorrow. It's not glamorous, and it's not easy, but it's the only path that works. You have to be willing to delay the dopamine, to silence the voice that says, "You've done enough," when deep down you know you haven't even scratched the surface of your potential. Because the mind will try to bargain with you. It will try to convince you to settle. It will give you every excuse in the world to stop. And that's when you need to remember. Discipline isn't built when it's easy. It's built when it's hard. Every time you choose focus over distraction, you're reprogramming your brain. Every time you say no to short-term pleasure, you're building long-term freedom. Wealthy minds aren't just smarter, they're stronger. They can endure boredom, repetition, and uncertainty without falling apart. They don't need to feel motivated to move. They've built an identity around discipline. It's who they are. And when you make discipline part of your identity, everything changes. You stop chasing success. You attract it. You stop wishing for wealth. You embody it. Because consistency over time becomes magnetism. You have to make a decision to think like the person you want to become, not the person you've been. Every time you catch yourself thinking small, challenge it, replace it, discipline it. Because you can't create a wealthy life with a poor mindset. You can't build abundance from scarcity. You have to speak the language of success before you live it. That means thinking in solutions, not problems. Seeing opportunities where others see obstacles. Expecting growth where others expect loss. The mind you build in struggle will serve you in success. There's a moment that comes for everyone chasing something greater. A moment when it all feels too much. When your effort doesn't match your results. When you start to question if it's worth it. That's the test. That's the moment your old self fights to survive. But that's also the moment you're closest to transformation, because the breakthrough never comes before the breaking point. And if you can push through that, if you can stay disciplined when every part of you wants to quit, you'll discover a power inside you that no failure can touch. Discipline your thinking, and everything else follows. Your emotions stabilize, your confidence grows, your vision sharpens, and eventually life begins to mirror the order within your mind. You become the kind of person who no longer chases opportunities. Opportunities chase you, because the universe doesn't reward effort. It rewards alignment. And when your thoughts, actions, and purpose move as one, wealth stops being a dream. It becomes your reality. The reason most people never reach extraordinary levels of success isn't because they lack talent. It's because they lack focus. Their minds are scattered, constantly pulled in 100 directions, chasing every distraction that offers a moment of escape. They think they're busy, but they're not productive. They confuse motion with progress. They spend their days reacting to life instead of creating it. But those who truly rise, those who build wealth that lasts, they operate differently. They think with precision. They guard their attention like treasure. They understand that every unfocused thought is a leak in the foundation of their future. Your attention is your most valuable currency. Where it goes, your energy flows. And where your energy flows, your results grow. If your mind is divided, your power is diluted. You can't build greatness while feeding distractions. You can't design freedom while chasing noise. Discipline means mastering your focus until your thoughts move in one direction, with purpose, with clarity, with unstoppable intent, because the mind left untrained will always return to comfort. And comfort kills progress more quietly than failure ever could. Distraction is the modern disease, and attention is the cure. Every scroll, every notification, every temptation to check for just a second steals hours of your life you'll never get back. Wealthy minds know this. They build invisible walls around their focus. They cut out the unnecessary. They operate with surgical precision. They know that success doesn't come from doing more. It comes from doing what matters without interruption. Every distraction you conquer adds another layer of strength to your discipline. Every time you say no to the noise, you say yes to your purpose. The truth is, the world isn't designed for your success. It's designed for your attention. And if you don't control it, someone else will. Every advertisement, every headline, every algorithm is fighting to hijack your mind. But discipline makes you immune. It turns your focus into a weapon, sharp enough to cut through chaos and stay locked on what matters most. You start to move differently. You begin to see what others miss. While they scatter their energy across 1,000 trivial things, you channel yours into one, and that's why your results multiply while theirs fade. Focus isn't about doing one thing, it's about becoming one with what you're doing. It's entering a state where nothing else exists. No fear, no doubt, no noise, just presence. That's where breakthroughs happen. That's where you find flow, that effortless zone where your mind and purpose align perfectly. And the more you enter that state, the more your brain learns it. It becomes your new default. What once felt like effort becomes natural. What once drained you begins to energize you. Because when your mind is clear, your energy is limitless. But to reach that level, you have to make sacrifices. You have to trade comfort for clarity. You have to be willing to let go of distractions that offer pleasure but steal progress. That means cutting off anything that doesn't align with your mission, even if it's familiar. Discipline will isolate you before it elevates you. It will test your patience, your endurance, your belief. But every moment you stay focused while others quit, you're separating yourself from the pack. You're building momentum no one can touch. And that momentum becomes unstoppable when your thinking is anchored in purpose. The greatest wealth you'll ever have is control. Control over your time, your focus, your emotions. Because once you control your mind, you control your outcomes. You stop reacting to life and you start commanding it. You stop chasing money and money starts chasing you. You move from desperation to direction. That's what separates the few who rise from the many who drift. The ability to stay locked in when everyone else gets lost. Every thought is a seed, and every distraction is a weed. The undisciplined mind lets the weeds grow until they choke out possibility. The disciplined mind pulls them out before they take root. That's the difference between potential and power, between a dreamer and a builder, between a life of excuses and a life of freedom, because wealth isn't built in chaos. It's built in clarity. And clarity comes only from discipline. So protect your focus like your life depends on it, because it does. Every thought you entertain is shaping the person you're becoming. Every moment of attention you reclaim is a step closer to the life you were meant to live. The world will keep trying to distract you, tempt you, break your rhythm. But the disciplined mind stands firm. It doesn't chase noise. It creates impact. And when your focus becomes unshakable, your success becomes inevitable. The reason most people stay stuck isn't because they're not capable. It's because they've convinced themselves that change is too hard. They believe the stories their minds tell them, stories that whisper, "You're not ready. You'll fail again. It's too late for you." But those stories are lies, disguised as truth. They're built from fear, from old experiences, from pain you've carried for years. And until you challenge those thoughts, they'll keep running your life. The moment you stop letting your thoughts control you and start controlling your thoughts, everything changes. Because the real prison isn't around you, it's inside you. Your brain is wired for survival, not success. It's designed to protect you, to keep you safe, to stop you from doing anything uncomfortable. But comfort is the enemy of growth. Every time you choose what feels easy, you reinforce the limits you say you want to break. The mind tells you to wait for the perfect moment. But that moment never comes. It tells you that you'll start when you feel ready. But readiness is an illusion. You don't get confidence first. You earn it through action. You act your way into belief, not the other way around. Every step forward, no matter how small, rewires your brain to expect more from itself. Change doesn't happen overnight. It happens the moment you decide you're done living the same day on repeat. The moment you stop saying someday and start saying now. That's when the rewiring begins. That's when your brain starts to understand that you mean it this time. Because the subconscious mind listens not to what you say, but to what you do consistently. Every choice you make sends a signal. Every time you push past fear, you strengthen new pathways. Every time you follow through, you teach your brain that discipline is your new identity. You can't think your way into a new life. You have to act your way into one. action is the language the brain understands best. It doesn't care about motivation. It responds to momentum. The more you move, the more you build. The more you build, the more unstoppable you become. But you have to stop waiting for inspiration to strike. You have to start before you're ready, move before you're certain, and trust that clarity comes through movement. The first step is never the hardest because of what you're doing. It's the hardest because of what you're leaving behind. You're not just breaking habits, you're breaking identities. You're shedding the version of yourself that settles for less. That's why it hurts. That's why it feels uncomfortable. Growth always demands the death of who you used to be. The longer you resist it, the longer you stay trapped in a cycle of potential without progress. But the moment you surrender to the process, you start to rise. You start to see that the fear was never a wall. It was just a mirror reflecting your own doubts back at you. And when you face it head on, it loses its power. Every time you catch yourself saying, "I can't," stop and ask, who told me that? Was it a failure? A critic? A version of me that no longer exists? Because none of it defines you. The only thing that defines you is what you do next. The future isn't waiting for permission. It's waiting for a decision. The decision to stop playing small. The decision to stop apologizing for wanting more. The decision to bet on yourself even when no one else will. Because the truth is, no one's coming to save you. No one's coming to make it easy. You have to be the one who shows up for your future self, even when your present self wants to quit. You've always had the power. It's just been buried under layers of doubt, fear, and hesitation.